Wow, what a reaction. Johnny, fans reacting outside the courthouse following Johnny Depp's victory in the defamation case against his ex-wife, Amber Heard. But inside the courtroom, it was a different tone for Heard. Watch.
As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million.
$15 million total. Depp issued a statement celebrating his legal victory, saying, quote, "And 6 years later, the jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled," wrote Johnny Depp. Heard calling the verdict a setback, saying, quote, "The disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband." Joining me right now is trial attorney Heather Hansen. Heather, great to have you. Thanks very much for weighing in here. Give us your reaction to the verdict.
Listen, Maria, I always say that if they don't believe you, you can't win. And I think that Amber Heard's credibility was completely knocked down in her cross-examination. Things like promising to give the money from her settlement with Johnny Depp to charity, that never happened. Things like the pictures that showed damage to her face and yet other pictures showed her fine the next day. Those types of things are the things that stick in a jury's mind. And even if the law is for somebody, credibility will take care of that. And that is what I think happened here.
Yeah, I think that is spot on, because we all were riveted by this case watching. And if you didn't have the belief in what she was saying, of course, you were skeptical. Now, Depp was awarded $15 million by the jury, but because of a Virginia state law, the actual amount awarded to Depp will be less than that. Tell us more about this, and how do you expect Heard to pay these damages? And do you expect an appeal? What happens next?
So it's interesting. In Virginia, they have a cap for punitive damages. Punitive damages are meant to punish the person who's been asked to pay that money. So the cap is $350,000. That means in this case, that is all that they can get for that Johnny Depp can get for that $5 million. And it's also decreased by the $2 million that she was awarded. So it comes to $8,350,000. I don't know that she has it, Maria. You know, she has talked about how she doesn't have the money. She didn't have the money to give to charity. And we're not clear who has been bankrolling this lawsuit in the first place. And to appeal, she has got to put up a bond for the amount that she owes. So I think she certainly wants to appeal, and she and her lawyers would be able to find reasons in that long trial to appeal. But it does cost money, and I'm just not sure that the money is there and who would be able to pay that money for her.
What about these two figures? I mean, Johnny Depp wrote in his statement, "The jury gave me my life back." Do you agree with that? Did he get his life back? Did he get his credibility back? And then there's this online petition to remove Amber Heard from the upcoming Aquaman sequel. It's closing in on its goal of 4.5 million signatures. Is her life worse off today?
Oh, my goodness. I think that without a doubt, her life is worse off today, and his life is better off. From the very beginning, I believe that this was a trial that was meant to be tried in the court of public opinion. I think Johnny Depp wanted this case to be televised. I think Virginia was no mistake because they allow for that. And I think he wanted the public to see. And we saw what happened when the public saw. People who weren't even interested in this case started watching and paying attention because it really just seems so incredible. So I think he has won. It'll be interesting to see if he actually wins more acting roles, which is, I think, what he wants. And I think she has lost. I think that petition, that's a contractual issue, Maria, whether Warner Brothers wants to back out of the contract. There's reports in the New York Post that she's only in that movie for 10 minutes anyway. So, the fans don't always rule. But if they want to back out of that contract, that's going to be a separate issue. But I think her credibility has certainly been damaged. And any fans that she had may be wondering whether she's credible.
Yeah, Mark Tepper, jump in here, because that court of public opinion can have a big impact. We'll see if she loses this movie role as well, Mark.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm okay with the court of public opinion. I've got no problem with that. The whole petition to get her booted from Aquaman 2 rubs me the wrong way a little bit, and this may not be a popular take. even if she was in the wrong, it kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't believe in cancel culture at all, and that smells a lot like cancel culture to me. Whether it's a good guy getting canceled, a bad guy getting canceled, whether it's a conservative or a liberal getting canceled,
yeah,
I'm not a big fan in cancel culture. I'd rather let the market dictate someone's future.
What do you think, Heather?
I think that's right, Maria. And I also think that the inclusion of Amber in this movie might actually increase the box office, right? People might want to see what her role is, what she's doing in there. So I am not a fan of cancel culture, and I don't think that the public should be able to dictate whether or not people keep their jobs. I think that is a very slippery slope.
Yeah, great points all around. Heather, thanks very much. Great to talk with you.